Have you ever wandered up and down the aisle in a hardware store looking at racks and bins and stacks of framing hardware? You know, galvanized pieces of metal with holes in them for all sorts of different framing applications. I can tell you that Simpson has pushed forward the ability to use steel to hold wood together more than anybody else. And that is particularly true and sometimes hard to figure out when it comes to fastening trusses or rafters to top plates. So when you think of a roof system, you think of holding up a load. You know, these trusses are holding the weight of the plywood sheeting and the tar paper and the shingles and any snow that would ever fall in this country, and sometimes it does. And they also have to hold up or resist wind loads. You know, the pressure of wind pushing on the side or the top of it all has to be held up by the truss. It has to be strong. But you don't often think about another force that a roof system has to deal with, and that is uplift. The lift that can happen when a wind blows across the top or pressurizes the inside of a building. Sometimes roofs blow off of structures, and the toenails that are nailed down through the truss clips, the gang nails, you watched me do that when I stacked this thing, are great and have been great for centuries, but they're not as great as a really sturdy connection between the roof system and the building. So I'm going to show you 4 different attachments, methods for fastening the trusses down instead of simply worrying about holding the trusses up. The first one of those, and the one that I've been using about the longest, is called, I think, a hurricane clip or a hurricane tie. It's pretty obvious, right? It goes around the truss and it slides right up there like that, and then you take Tico nails. I'm going to use a duplex because I'm not doing this permanently, and you nail it. You nail it to both plates and you nail it to the bottom cord of the truss. And you can see that what that would do would force the wind to tear those nails loose or tear them out of that ceiling joist, bottom cord, before this truss could go airborne. Great idea. Labor intense, and the drywall has to go over the top of the iron. The next method, and maybe you're aware of this, is just called a truss tie, right? And they come in right and left-hand models because sometimes you can only get to one side. The idea is they go against the plates here, and you nail them in, once again, with Ticos or framing structural attachment nails, and you nail through there. Same thing as the hurricane tie, except all on one side. Lots of nails, lots of time, lots of ways to cut your fingers. One of the obvious advantages here is if you've got a guy and you want to give him something to do, and he doesn't have to think too much, one person on a ladder or ideally on a scaffold can go around, but you've got to get up to the bottom of the truss in order to do the work. Simpson's latest innovation for holding trusses down is awesome, and I don't know how or if they'll ever beat it. And it's a number 7, I think, very coarse structural screw, 6 inches long. And you just come right up underneath the truss, angle it if you want, and that's done. Now, not only can one guy do it, but you can do it from the ground. They make extensions that'll go on your drill so that you can shoot in at angles and from right. It's so versatile, so fast, so easy. You can come in at an angle when your truss lands right over a stud. You don't have to have a clear shot. You can come in from the side if you're careful. Bang! That's a hard thing to tear loose. So this is called, I think, a truss clip. And it's only important because the truss system, the roof system, is part of the integrated system of the whole building. Now this is a crown plate. We just attached the trusses to the crown plate at the perimeter, right? If this wasn't a 2x6 and it was a 1x6, which maybe it should have been, then this truss would not be bearing right here. The truss is actually not designed to bear right here, but really nobody cares on this little building. But if it wasn't bearing right here, this wall could slide back and forth. You see that this interior partition, there would be nothing to hold it in its position of plumb? That's where this truss clip comes in. It has 2 holes right here and a slot. It works like this. You put it up against the bottom cord of the truss. You use either a nail or a screw. And screw it to the top of the wall. And then you run 1 or 2 fasteners through that slot. We're going to put another one just for grins. See what that does? It keeps the wall from being able to move laterally and allows the truss to move vertically, but still ties everything together. So it holds your roof system, the ceiling part of your roof system, to your wall system, keeps everything where it goes, and everybody is happy. So the upshot of it is, yes, a roof needs to hold weight up, but a roof also needs to stay on your building when the big bad wolf huffs and puffs and tries to blow your house down. While I was over here screwing these trusses down, making sure the wind wouldn't blow them away, Mahalo Heating and Air Conditioning showed up to rough in the ductless mini split system that we're putting in here to keep Ben's office warm and cool. One of the real benefits of long-term relationships with your subcontractors is that feeling of informed, earned confidence that you have when they pull onto the job. You just know that this is going to go great and it's not going to take them long. Okay, I think we've got this figured out so that there's clearance on the outside for foot traffic. It's not so high the guys can't work on it, and it's only about probably 12 feet from the inside unit, which is a short distance for the refrigerant lines.
This is a condensate collector box. Whenever the unit is running in air conditioning mode, it will condensate and collect into this box, drain down and outside the home.
I bet these 2 young men weren't on this job for 30 minutes. Bam! They were done, and it was a nice job. I had to strain to just keep the camera on them. And I can remember what it felt like to be able to move around like that and make things happen effortlessly. I miss those days, and I wish I would have not taken so many of them thoughtlessly for granted. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.